All right. So we're going to be watching. This is the initial concept video. I guess this is. I don't think this is something the general public would have seen. Only relatively recently did this come to light as something that was. Yeah, this is just sitting in on a vault on a reel-to-reel film or a VHS tape or something like that somewhere out there. So only recently did this come to light. This is probably the earliest promotional material made for the Intellivision. And Mattel Electronics, I did own a hand-me-down Football 2 unit. If you look up Mattel Electronics Football 2, it's a famous early electronic game. And I had no idea how to play it, but just the idea that I could move around a little red blip on a screen, and this is before I even got my Game Gear, was so cool. But
introducing Mattel.
Now, if I need to adjust the volume up or down on the video, let me know. As we go through the videos, they might be different volume levels, but at least for this first video, the volume should be pretty balanced between my voice and the game. I'll probably be pausing the video.
Electronics in television. The computer-based system that transforms the home television set into an interactive center for games, entertainment, self-education, personal improvement, and individual and family information processing. Intellivision is a series of modularized hardware components and software that offer the consumer a choice of purchase options and benefits for now and in the years to come. The heart of Intellivision is the master component. Inside is a powerful 16-bit microprocessor, a full range of...
Look at the cartridge that comes out the side of that thing. I mean, what a design. I mean, there's nothing... I mean, they're trying to differentiate it from the top-loading Atari, I guess. But this thing is so... It wasn't... There's times they say something's before its time. No, this was precisely of its time. It didn't succeed. Maybe, I guess you could say the Atari VCS was more exactly of its time, in the right place, right time, right product to thrive in that atmosphere. But this was so of its time, and they were doing really advanced things, pushing what could be done with a video game
sound
system.
Effects, including 3-part harmony music, a broad color palette, and an extraordinarily high level of resolution. The master component can be utilized separately with ROM cartridges. These cartridges provide the opportunity to play a broad range of entertainment and game themes: sports, gambling, action, strategy, and children's learning fun.
Yeah, that phrase, learning fun, they're going to say that phrase a lot. Some copywriter, some person who writes the advertising copy at Mattel Electronics, not a person who files copyrights. Copywriting is writing, advertising and sales copy, sales letters, scripts for commercials and print ads, stuff like that, which is different from copywriting, as copy WRITE as opposed to copy RIGHT. So
each cartridge provides for strategic and tactical intensity, physical skill challenge, as well as true-to-life sights, sounds.
The Electric Company spelling fun, like once again, so specifically of its era.
And variability. The master component hand controllers are humanly engineered by Mattel Electronics to uniquely combine keypad, object, and action controls into one integrated device. The need for different controllers for different games is obsolete. Further, the keypad features an exclusive overlay system. Each game comes with customized printed overlays that simply slide in over the keys. All you need to know to play each game is printed right on the overlays.
Yeah, you can't see the overlays too well. I have a bunch of these. The replica Intellivision controllers that come with the come with the Intellivision flashback. That system, I'm just playing with a paperclip here. Let me play with something that's actually meant to be played with before I poke myself in the thumb with the doggone paperclip. Yeah, those controllers actually do have the inserts for all the games that are included with it. So you just slide it right in. I don't use it too much because I'm afraid to wear the things out, because once those are gone, it's probably not the easiest thing in the world to get replacements for them. But it's actually a really good system for playing these more complex games, like, what button does what. It looks kind of intimidating without the overlays. Once you slide the overlay in, you see everything that the game actually involves. And a lot of these games really don't even use the numerical keypads much for anything anyway, but we'll keep on going.
Each controller also features 4 action buttons, 2 on each side, so that they can be used easily by both left and right-handed players. And forget old straight-line joystick-type controllers for all time. Objects can now be precisely maneuvered with a unique...
Yeah, forget them for all time. And yeah, that was a thing, if you're not aware. There was the iconic standard Atari 2600 controller, which, hold on, let me just slide this over here so I can see chat and my video at once. Yeah, the iconic Atari standard controller had the joystick and the single button. But for games like Breakout, there were also different controllers, like a paddle that was just a disc that you spun back and forth. So there were specialized controllers for specific games, and then other games like Howard Scott Warshaw's famous adaptation of Raiders of the Lost Ark was a more complex game where you're picking up and moving items and doing different actions. You actually had to use 2 controllers to perform different actions. 2 single stick, single button controllers. So the idea when they made the Atari 2600 was, okay, you're going to move your ship or character with one thing and then just fire a shot or perform some action with the button. The idea of performing multiple actions dynamically was something that came along later, and this controller was made for that from the beginning. So having a controller and having games that were so complex that you actually could perform multiple actions in one game that required different buttons that alone was a level of sophistication ahead of the competition at the time.
Movement. By adding the keyboard component to the master component, Intellivision enters a whole new dimension that allows the consumer to enjoy all the entertainment features of the master component, plus a wide variety of meaningful home computer applications.
Yeah, I just want to rewind a little bit.
Master component, plus a wide...
Yeah, so this keyboard here, this sort of became they're pitching this keyboard component that transforms the Intellivision into a proper home computer. At the time when that was still a very new idea, they basically built into the Intellivision around the idea of expanding it with this computer. They're advertising it to marketers and, I guess, store owners here. And then the public commercials and advertising material, they also push this keyboard unit. This never came out in this form. Mattel Electronics would never cease to regret announcing this thing because a number of people bought the Intellivision core system like, oh, I could buy a video game system now, and later I could expand it into a home computer that has all these different functions. And because they kept delaying and never properly released this computer system accessory, the Securities and Exchange Commission, I believe? No, the Federal Trade Commission actually fined them thousands of dollars per day each day they did not come out with this keyboard, because so many people are filing complaints that, hey, I paid hundreds of dollars for this Intellivision based on being able to expand it into a computer, and then they never come out with it. I've been falsely advertised to. And later on in Mattel's support of Intellivision, they rushed out a stripped down version of this keyboard component that had very few of the advertised features here. It did not look as cool as this thing, that's for sure. And I don't think it had the tape deck built into it. But they just basically released it to fulfill the Federal Trade Commission's ultimatum that they actually fulfill their promise to their customers to release this keyboard. They only released it on, through mail order to people who had filed the complaints against Mattel. So there are very few of these computer keyboard components out there. They're very rare now. There are only a couple of prototype units of this actual version of it you see here. Eventually, I think they started coloring in a few of the keys, but it's very typewriter-like. So that's a little background as this computer component and why you're basically never going to see it outside of these promotional materials from very early on in the Intellivision's lifespan.
Variety of meaningful home computer applications. The keyboard component consists of a full 64-key typewriter-like keyboard, an advanced magnetic tape cassette drive completely under the control of the microprocessor, and a microphone that is used for certain programs requiring user voice input. With the keyboard and master components combined, the consumer can now purchase special magnetic tapes featuring 2 digital and 2 full audio tracks.
And yes, those are just the same audio tapes you pop into your tape deck to listen to music, if you're of a certain age. Like, I mean, I say that, and people only maybe 5 or 6 years younger than me never had experience with this.
The tapes provide programs for family financial management, physical health, and well-being, and self-education.
Now, a little context into the whole idea of docking your game console into a computer unit keyboard add-on and using cassette tapes or discs or diskettes to run programs in addition to your standard video games. This was not an uncommon idea. There's the APF. There was I think it was called the Fun Machine or something to that effect, where there was also a video game console standalone unit that also docked into a larger computer system. Then there was the Coleco Atom, which was something similar for the ColecoVision. It was either a computer variant of the ColecoVision or some kind of keyboard contraption that the ColecoVision docked into. So the idea of buying a video game system, then having a separate computer that docked into it, was not that crazy of an idea. In Japan, the Family Computer, the original, the Famicom, the first proper Nintendo home system, it being called Family Computer and having a keyboard accessory and a cassette drive that you could load programs and store recordable data onto from certain games, like the Japanese versions of Excitebike or Wrecking Crew, kind of played into this concept as well. In Japan, in America, the initial concept for what became the Nintendo Entertainment System, to make a North American friendly version of the Famicom, was to have something that was even more computer-like than the Famicom with its computer keyboard and taped cassette add-on, that was actually quite a bit more like this contraption here. And then they decided to scrap all of that and just make something closer to a straight-up video game system. But with so
each of these offerings
this isn't
is pre-programmed,
too alien of an idea to the point where even Nintendo was considering some format similar to this for releasing the NES later on into the 80s.
Consultant who actually talks you through the material. You respond in plain English, using the familiar typewriter-like keyboard or microphone. There's absolutely no need for knowledge of a computer language. Let's take a look now at the range and depth of software benefits provided by Intellivision. There will be 5 exciting sports cartridges in 1979. Football, baseball, basketball, auto racing, and ice hockey. Let's look at several of them now. First, there's football, America's most incredible video game. 60 fast-thinking, hard-driving minutes of real football action. There are kickoffs, punts, and runbacks, passing plays.
Yeah, so this console came out
field
43
goals,
years ago in
interceptions,
2022.
penalties. You and your opponent call the offense.
And I know this isn't much to look at. I mean, if anyone's on Twitch just randomly looking for stuff, sees Intellivision actually clicks on it, you're aware of this. But for context's sake, this, comparing what you're seeing here
plays and set the defense.
to Atari 2600's version of football, especially their first version of football, is like comparing
all the action of a real pro game.
like Xbox 360. It's like comparing
master component purchase.
like PlayStation 4 to like
baseball. Where you
it's like
control
comparing
all the
PS5
action.
to
2 non-man
PS3
teams play a
almost.
full 9
It is a
innings.
full
In the field, you
generational
control the
difference.
pitch, fastballs, curveballs,
You can very
and change
clearly
of pace.
recognize
You
this is
control
a
the field.
baseball diamond. Those
Run
are the
up to the
bases.
ball,
Those are
throw
the
the ball to
fielders.
the
That's the
appropriate
pitcher.
base.
Whereas the
Try
Atari
picking off a
version
runner who may
of
be taking too
their
large
first
a
version of
lead.
pinball
At bat, you can try to pull the ball.
barely
hit to the
resembled
opposite field, bunt,
a
control the
recognizable
runners around
version
bases,
of baseball, unless
take a
you were
lead off
explicitly
base,
explained
go for a
that's
steal,
what you were looking at.
Try a hit and run. It's all there.
This copy is
Basketball.
skipping a
Two
lot,
teams compete in
unfortunately.
48 action-packed minutes
But that's
of
just
hard-driving
this is a
basketball action.
a
You control the ball.
43-year-old
You dribble
video
down
that was
court.
found preserved,
Pass off.
fortunately.
Try
So
a jump or set shot, but be careful. The 24-second clock is running down. Go in for the rebound. Try a fast break. On defense, you set your team. Press. Try to steal the ball. Try to block the shot. Go after the rebound. It's the closest thing to pro basketball yet. Intellivision strategy games in 1979 include backgammon and checkers. Let's look at backgammon. It's you against the computer. In this test of
backgammon, by the
tactics
way,
and
for
skill.
those not aware,
You move the
backgammon is
letters
one of the
in
most
board
ancient games in
Set at
human
its lower
history
level,
that we still have the rules
computer
for.
becomes a tremendous teaching aid for
It's
the
a
beginner
very
and
ancient game,
intermediate.
actually.
Set it at the advanced level, it is truly capable of playing at a world-class level. Action cartridges in 1979 include Space Battle and Armor Battle. Let's look at Armor Battle. You and your opponent each have...
Now, there's a attempt... They're trying to make a new version of Armor Battle for the ongoing catastrophe that is the Amico. I hope it does come out just for the laughs of it, and so people who paid for it get what they want. And plus, I want to see Pete Dorr stream it. He has his pre-order locked in. I want to see Pete Dorr play these games. I hope the Amico comes out. I hope it does, and I hope afterwards they get some sense and just release these games on Nintendo Switch, or just release an HDMI Intellivision flashback system. But they made a new...
different terrain maps. There will also be 3 gambling offerings in 1979.
I love it. They couldn't even...
Blackjack and poker combined.
Like, this would get this game potentially an M rating nowadays. This
and
alone.
Horse racing. Let's look at blackjack and poker. High-stakes action right out of Las Vegas. Blackjack, 5-card stud poker.
The way the little guy's eyes go back and forth.
7-card stud poker. Play against a fast-shuffling, shifty-eyed, computer-smart dealer that will call, raise, drop, and even bluff. Watch your fortune grow, or watch out as your bank account disappears. 2 children's learning fund cartridges.
They just love that phrase, children's learning fund.
Will also be offered in 1979. Let's take a look at the math program. Children race their gorillas through the jungle, encountering animal obstacles, and an endless variety of addition, subtraction, multiplication,
yeah, we've got one of these edutainment games on here. This is inverted, but word rocket. So we'll be... I don't know if we'll play that tonight, but we'll definitely mess around with it sooner or later.
And the computer shows the correct answer and forces the gorilla to suffer the hazards of the river. The computer also automatically recognizes the children's abilities and adjusts the level of problem complexity so that they will not become frustrated with problems that are too complex or get by easily with problems that are too simple. Valid learning made lots of fun. In addition to the 14 Intellivision game cartridges available in 1979, there will be 6 personal computer-type programs that operate off the master and keyboard components combined. These include 2
basically none of these came out in this form.
Conversational French and speed reading. Let's look at a segment of each.
Now, what you're about to see is, if I remember, if this is the video I'm thinking of, because I have not pre-screened, this is probably going to be nonsense, or BS, perhaps, as some might put it. I think there are a lot of simulated looks at what the programs might be like, but it's very obviously not an actual program in a resolution that the Intellivision would ever be capable of. So let's go ahead.
Going on a trip to a French-speaking country, you'll want to know enough helpful phrases to greet people, go shopping, ask directions, manage in a restaurant, etc. With Intellivision's
look at this. There's no way. I think this is just, they just typed this up. I don't think this is actually running off an Intellivision. I think this is a simulation of what the program might be like. Unless the computer made it able to output like this, I really don't think so.
French program, you can be ready in no time.
I can't think of any home computer that had visuals like this at the time.
Phrase correctly for you.
Comment allez-vous?
You pronounce the same phrase into the microphone.
Comment allez-vous?
When you've finished all the phrases in a lesson, the computer will automatically play back your recorded pronunciation bracketed by the correct pronunciation.
Comment allez-vous? Comment allez-vous?
As none of us sounds like we think, in English, no less in a foreign language, you can now hear deficiencies and make conscious corrections. Is there a better way? Learn to speed read with hundreds of pages of practice text. The computer shows you how. Test your recall and comprehension.
This is clearly nonsense.
And recommends when you're ready to tackle the next
There's no way this is real.
What finer way to improve your
I just thought of
skills,
something.
Understanding, and enjoyment. In the area of personal improvement,
I think in 1979, we just may have seen the first ever bullshot trailer for a video game, potentially. Okay.
2 cassettes will be offered in 1979.
Cassettes.
Physical exercise and food management. Tell the computer your age, physical dimensions, weight trends, and whether you would like to lose weight, and if so, how much, and from what part of the body, and over what period of time. The computer will develop a personalized physical exercise program for you.
Now, if I remember correctly, they later on, they got far enough along that they got, I guess, a licensing deal with Jack LaLanne, who I guess was some sort of fitness guru that was around in the early 80s. I don't know anything. My only exposure to Jack LaLanne was, you're you're 4 years old at the time. I guess you dodged. I'm glad you weren't maybe slightly older and got excited for this if you somehow managed to see this.
Follow the
because it would have been disappointing because none of this ever came out in this form whatsoever.
1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
And I guess that level of audio would have been theoretically possible with the tape cassette thing because the tape drive, as I understand, is kind of controlled by the microprocessor of the computer. So they could have data parts of the tape as well as audio parts of the tape. So they could, have data streaming off the tape, and then the tape could cue itself up to that audio section of that voiceover 1, 2, 3, 4, in combination with those graphics. I mean, those aren't the actual graphics. This is just a simulation of, I guess, what they expected the program to look like. But they're doing kind of stuff that really, honestly, was not fully realized in a home video game system until the Wii in 2008 with Wii Fit. Or 2007, I think Wii Fit was. So, it's interesting.
Answer the computer's questions regarding your family's diet considerations, favorite and not so favorite foods, prices of various foods in your local supermarket, and weekly food budget. Each week, the computer will recommend a customized menu plan
this
for
on
the family,
our smartphones
and even compile
nowadays.
a shopping list within your budget. In the area of financial services, there will be programs for family budget management and estate planning, as well as tax computation. Input information relative to your family's current and projected income, assets, company-paid benefits, outgo, investments, and financial goals for the future. The computer will recommend alterations to your current spending and investment patterns to better help you cope with making ends meet today, while preparing for your financial needs and security in the future.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre thinking of making this kind of decisions on a computer that's not even connected to the internet.
Information needed
not that the internet existed in a consumer form at the time. You needed some kind of mainframe at a university to even access anything, even the forerunners of the internet.
It will show you your taxes due computed on a separate joint and income averaged basis. Select the best way, and the computer will display all the necessary schedules with all of the appropriate numbers filled in. Simply
I'm spoiled by stuff like TurboTax now.
The computer can even analyze your itemized deductions versus the averages.
And honestly, we shouldn't even need to use TurboTax. That should just be provided by the government. But that's another story.
Year better. Save money, save time, and in the privacy of your own home. You have just seen a demonstration of Mattel Electronics Intellivision.
Yeah, and like 70% of it was stuff that never came out, fake versions of computer programs that never even came out.
Dimension to provide even higher levels of service to the consumer.
Whew.
If you're thinking about buying solar panels,
we're gonna skip this.
Don't. The U.S. government will literally buy them for you.
Soon, the John Geyer family will be
using
their TV to help compute their...
First off, that last voice actor, but this one in particular, this guy got a ton of voiceover work in the 80s that I remember from a lot of commercials, and even in the early 90s, he was still around doing stuff. He did a few video game commercials too, aside from this. But this was actually what the public was advertised to the public, and what got a lot of families like, hey, our kid wants a video game system, and we can get a computer. We could upgrade it into a computer for household stuff later on, so... This is what got them in a bunch of trouble.
The John Geyer family will be using their TV to help compute their federal income tax, learn French, improve math skills, and quarterback an NFL team. Here comes the line of scrimmage. Introducing Intellivision.
No, I love the colored keys on this prototype here. I like old, 80s, early 90s keyboards when a couple, like the shift key would be blue. I mean, I don't want to show off the keyboard I have on my desk, but I customized it so the tab and caps lock are blue and the shift is green. But let's keep going.
New home video system from Mattel Electronics. 2 components, each sold separately. Start with the master
One not
component,
sold at all.
Available now for super games like NFL football. To pass.
Go for it, Dad.
Caught it. And for learning fun from the
That
electric company.
snap of that controller, of the cartridge going in. I don't think it ever went in that smoothly or sounded that good.
Available this summer. Intellivision can change your
Summer
family's life.
1979. Yeah, right.
Financial planning.
Okay, now this actually resembles okay, this proves that the last video was bullshit. I mean, I guess it wasn't aimed at the consuming public. It was really for trade purposes. But this actually kind of resembles what a reasonable appearance this computer program would have.
Custom designs a Jack LaLanne exercise program for you. 1, 2,
Slave driver.
There is an entire library of Intellivision programs designed to grow.
Each
right
program
along
sold
with your
separately
family's
or not at all.
interests. Discover Intellivision. It can change your
Available
family's
at
life.
Macy's. What an age. Yeah, so this is an actual, like, I guess something that a cartridge that would be running in a demo unit at a store that would just be running this on a loop on a TV. And yes, this is 2001: A Space Odyssey. In the days before the internet, it was much more likely that you could probably get away with something like this without having copyright problems, because I doubt they licensed this music from Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, that never happened. Man, this looks really good with this television frame, I'm telling you. Yeah, so here's some football footage. Well, no, I mean, it's funny because it's not just the game. It actually has on-screen commentary explaining the game. It's funny that, yeah, I was going to say, why isn't there a voiceover for this? But no, this wasn't a videotape. This was something that would actually be running on an Intellivision in the store. So it's limited to just sort of the computerized text that they... So they kind of had to program little mini versions of these games to run in an automated manner with the... Now, this is an interesting... Yeah, this is kind of fascinating from a conceptual standpoint, how they programmed all this stuff. Because they must have programmed sort of mini, partially functional games that run in an automated manner. I wonder how many of the assets... Oh, that was public domain. The theme from 2001, that was public... That infamous theme, that was public... That was... I want to look this up now, Clackboy. It got me interested. Okay. Okay. Sorry, as this is running, I'm on a...
Remember when you were a kid and life was just a little simpler?
Okay,
Yeah.
hold on. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. I gotta tell you. I almost, when this started playing, I ran like, oh, I gotta skip this ad. And I realized, oh yeah, this ad is what we're supposed to be watching. This is the long-form ad for the 2014 release of the Intellivision flashback system, which I just wish they just come out with an HDMI version of, and I'd be happy. Yeah, I was looking it up in the background. Yeah, so apparently, I did not realize, the times when they use classical music that's in the public domain in famous films, I'm aware that that's classic. I've never heard that song, that track, outside of the context of 2001: A Space Odyssey. Therefore, I always assumed that it was composed specifically for the movie.
Remember when you were a kid and life was just a little simpler?
No, It's funny now. this pitch here, this is what the current holders of Intellivision were kind of using as the basis for trying to push the Amico, but they're pushing this concept with these new games. But here they're actually using the original Intellivision games with this idea, so it makes a lot more sense. And this is kind of the call to action, the kind of pitch that the disastrous Retro VGS, later known as Coleco Chameleon, before Coleco Holdings themselves revoked their use of the trademark, their right to use the Coleco name, and the project fell apart after multiple fraudulent prototypes, one of which was literally a Super Nintendo duct taped into the shell of an Atari Jaguar outer case. So this is like a retro call to emotion that actually makes sense because they're actually using original retro games.
Remember when you were a kid and life was just a little simpler? Yeah, we were there. Back when the whole world was the size of your block, but limited only to the size of your imagination. When the hair was bigger and the clothing brighter, we were there. When Friday nights were late and Saturday mornings were early. When school picture days were cosmic and mixtapes were actually
school
mixtapes,
pictures still look like that
we were
even
there
like
too.
a decade and a half
Back
later.
when sitcoms and game shows were on your television, we were making Intellivision. And now a little time has passed. We may have parted ways for a little while, but like an old friend, we're still here for you just the same.
Was the name that marketing picked for it. I had no idea what Snafu had to do with it.
Neither do I.
I originally called it Snakes with a bunch of S's on the end. And all I could see that was similar was it started with SNA and Snafu. But it was a fun game.
That was nice and quick.
Pitfall on the Atari 2600.
Oh boy.
Major League Baseball on Intellivision.
Boy, it's him. It's
You're
him.
out. If these games strike a chord deep within you, as they do with me, then you're going to love this next piece, where we talk to the pioneers of classic gaming.
I mean, Tom, he knows how to put on a show. I liked his
I am here
television
with
stuff.
one of the original programmers from Intellivision. Was it a good
Rest in
experience?
peace.
It was fantastic. It was like working in a college dorm. Mattel wasn't sure that this video game thing was really going to last, so they just kind of hired people right out of college. They got them cheap, no experience, threw them into whatever spare rooms they had around Mattel, and said, well, do something. And within a year, people were investing around the world based on what a bunch of crazy 20-year-olds were doing at Mattel.
For years, I've been on your television screen comparing Atari and Intellivision.
Let's look at this thing here.
Isn't this a wonderful machine? There's a plastic membrane inside. There's actually no moving parts inside of this, a nice plastic membrane that has that nice squishy feel. The computer on this inside of this was a 16-bit
So
processor.
that's probably around 2003.
Wow, that was high tech.
Right, with the games in the late 80s, the Nintendo, and when it first came out, was 8-bit. So we were about 10 years ahead of our time.
And now you've come out with.
I mean, he says that, but it's like the NES was clearly more capable than the Famicom.
All of this with you at all times.
Kind of fun.
With another 50 games stacked in front of you. All of this material on one CD, so you can play it on a PC or Mac.
What was it like to be a part of the market when it actually?
There was a free version you could download on Mac.
Game
and by
that Atari came out with. Some people attribute that game alone for destroying the video
Yeah,
game
not
industry
quite,
because
but
it was so bad.
E.T.'s an interesting story in that
hey,
it may not have been the
Warshaw.
greatest game, but it was a game, but it was the fastest game done ever. I left the challenge open to anyone else in Atari, anyone else who was willing to pick up this challenge at the time. No one else wanted to. I was the only person who would stand there and guarantee that I would deliver them a game in 6 weeks. Nah, that's what I did.
The competition at the beginning was kind of a friendly, we want to beat the other guys, so you'd work 24 hours a day. As it went on,
that game there
there,
actually
but
came
now
out, I
it
think, in
wasn't
like
so much friendly. It was kinda
1988 or
we've
something
gotta
crazy like that.
survive
That
now, so we're
Choplifter
working
game, I think
24
that
hours
was.
a day.
Yeah, that
Did you
came
guys
out
feel
in
like you
the
got
late
enough recognition
80s.
for the work that you were doing?
Oh, sure. With Pitfall and its success, 3.5 million units, when the company decided to tag my name in the commercial credit, I knew that it had gone to another level.
MTV came out, which initially just showed videos 24 hours a day with very few commercials, And kids stopped using their TVs to play video games and started watching videos all day long. Atari got out of the business, Coleco got out of the business, Mattel got out of the business, and the only person who stayed in was the former marketing director at Mattel. He's the one who kept Intellivision going through the 80s. In 1985, Intellivision was the only game system still being sold in the United States.
I mean, by an American manufacturer specifically. So this is another...
Imagine a revolutionary home video system that can teach
Okay, so this is an actual... Because that, what we saw earlier, that was like a cartridge that was running on Intellivision. This is an actual video about Intellivision.
Develop your children's math skills, play NFL football, and design a personalized fitness program.
Welcome back.
For you.
Did I go away for a while? What happened?
As Mattel Electronics
What happened?
transforms your TV set into
Or did you type that up a while ago and weren't able to press it? Or something? Did I go offline? Am I the only viewer?
The Intellivision system is the master component. Your ticket to action.
I don't usually look at my
challenging strategy games,
users in chat,
and imaginative
but
learning programs for children.
yeah, if there's anyone else who's watching, they're choosing to keep quiet, which is their business, and I thank them for their participation. But no, frankly, Clackaboy, oftentimes you are the. I went off.
That's right. All 9 players. Throw the ball around the diamond to warm up your infielders. Here's the pitch. Your opponent swings.
On everything on the web and in my broadcast software is indicating that I've been online this entire time.
Keep the runner close at first base. Or have your catcher throw to second to prevent a steal. A little practice, and you'll hit the cutoff man.
Alright, well, I'm glad you're able to find me again.
Like a pro.
Alright. Well, and thanks everybody for watching. I'm not asking any... Yeah, I'm just kind of scared to look at my users in chat, because once, like, about a year ago and change, I looked at users in chat just out of curiosity while streaming, and a significantly well-known person was watching my stream, and it turned out to really be them. Someone, like... I'm not even going to say who it was. I was just kind of astounded, and I was kind of, like, freaked out, like, oh my gosh, how is X person watching me? Like, and it wasn't like they just popped in. They were watching me for a while. And I was like, hi? Like, I'm like, I think I held it together, but, like, I don't want to freeze up on stream or lose it. And it was an honor and a shock that this person somehow found my stream and was watching. It's not someone, like, it was someone, a significant celebrity, I'd go as far as to say. Just happened to be watching, and it turned out to be their real legit Twitch account.
Let's journey to the distant ends of the galaxy.
Someone I wouldn't think would watch someone like me anyway, so.
Can you save the mother?
Yeah, I've only played a handful of...
the enemy by maneuvering the green gun sight.
Press spacebar to fire. That's interesting.
Fire your lasers.
Press spacebar to fire. So is this something they programmed intended for computer release? Like for releasing the computer accessory? Yeah, I've only played a handful of Intellivision games, actually. I just really love the ones that I have played and have memories of. I'm not saying who it was. So you could use your imagination. It could be you could use your own imagination as to who it was, but it was yeah, it was interesting. So that's why I don't look at my users in chat anymore. Because that's a way you could potentially peek in on who's lurking, and that's why I'm like, yeah, I'm never doing that again. Yeah, conversational French. This never. I don't know if this ever... Let me look up and see if this ever came out.
Then you record your own voice. Say la chemise. By comparing your pronunciation with Mimi's, you'll develop both your accent and your vocabulary.
C'est la robe.
C'est
Intellivision conversational French.
C'est
Okay, I guess this apparently actually did come out.
Help shape up your body. Jack's program will be customized especially for you. Whether you get very little
Yeah, I'm
or
seeing.
a great deal of
I think this
exercise,
actually might have came
your
out.
physical condition and doctor's advice will determine the program for your needs.
Yeah, conversational
With
French
Jack
full
in your home,
playthrough, which is
you'll
20
soon
minutes
be on
long.
your way to better health, firmer muscle tone, and a
That's
trimmer
interesting.
figure.
For the first fitness test exercise, get down on the floor and get ready to do some sit-ups. Remember, keep your knees up and touch both elbows to your knees.
Yeah, that shirt. Yeah, I was gonna say it's Steve from Blue's Clues shirt. I think it's also Azrael Dreamer's shirt from Undertale.
Figure method of stock charting to help you monitor the performance of your investment portfolio.
Like stock charting, you have to manually enter in all this data yourself. Because there's no internet to connect to. I mean, geez, what a world.
Mattel Electronics Intellivision is truly intelligent television, opening up a whole new world.
I've never seen this before myself. The other two videos I saw, all the other little mini segments I've never seen before. This is actually new to me.
New programs on cartridges and cassettes makes it
On cartridges and cassettes.
an exciting and lasting value
Okay.
for years to come. Intellivision, the future is today.
Man, what an animation.
Master component, keyboard component, cartridges and cassettes, each sold separately.
Or not at all. And then the tape would loop, I guess.
Welcome back, everybody. Do you remember the very first video game from...
Yeah, that you can barely hear that one. We're just gonna skip this. Okay, now Play Cable. Okay, this is basically Play Cable. Incredible what they managed to do. They basically made, you know, like the Sega Channel. Oh, when you were a kid, your neighbor had Intellivision, so he let you borrow it. You got to experience some of the games. That's really awesome. Because you would have been playing it, I guess, not, you know, within, like, you playing Intellivision probably around then would probably be the equivalent of, like, playing PlayStation 4 now. It's, like, not that old at the time, you know? But Play Cable, if you remember Noah of the Sega Channel that Sega had in the 90s for Sega Genesis, this is basically Sega Channel, but for Intellivision. They were doing insane things with this system. And
Dad, it's here! When Play Cable comes to your house, cable comes alive. It's the world's most
in the
sophisticated
80s.
Computer game library at your fingertips 24 hours a day on cable TV. It's Play Cable, the all-game channel. Now you won't just watch TV, you'll sack the quarterback, slide into home plate, even blast your way through hyperspace. Every month on Play Cable, you'll play an action-packed selection of 15 Intellivision games. The games that play more like the real thing. New games, returning games, and continuing favorites. All for less each month than you'd pay for a single game cartridge. Don't wait to play the world's most sophisticated computer game library.
What an
Order Play Cable
insanely ambitious service. And it worked, too, from what I heard.
Take it from Mickey. Play Cable's a hit.
Play Cable, the all-game channel.
Whew.
There's lots of video games out today. Some are better than others. But with most games costing $25 or more, the best way to play is without cartridges on Play Cable. For less than half the price of one game, you get 20 great games a month, over $500 worth. And you can play any game, anytime, 24 hours a day. Play Cable. Only a millionaire'd want to play any other way.
The sooner you order, the sooner you'll save. So call
Do
your
I
cable
dare?
company
Do we
now.
dare? Do we dare call the number now? No. We tried. We were doing that for a while. It was fun. You just get obsolete numbers. And just
Offering
But then once we called the Sega 32X number, yeah, but yeah, like by today's currency rates, that would be cheap for a game. But
and the video game programmers
this is like 35 years ago, so.
Now we enter that world. This is the application software department. This is where
So this is a tour of the Intellivision, I guess, offices within Intel Electronics.
We thought that we'd talk to some of the programmers and find out.
I haven't seen this before. I just found it. I'm like, oh, this looks
much
cool.
more than a video game programmer. Actually, I'm a group leader with no group, but I.
Stephen Ettinger. We hear that you're working on a secret project.
That's right, Mark. Working on a new project called Hoverforce 3D, using a chopper motif. We've got helicopters in the game that look as realistic and lifelike as
I played that.
But what's more, this game is called Hoverforce 3D, which means we get to use these special new 3D glasses. Attractive, aren't they? I certainly think so. But let's let the audience try them on, just to get a sneak preview of the game.
I don't remember. I don't think there was an actual stereoscopic 3D on. I think it was just that there was a top-down view.
Looks like this.
Oh, okay. So they're just messing around.
No, I do other stuff too.
Like what other things?
Yeah, this is. Yeah, their videography is kind of
When you create sound effects,
guerrilla style, we'll say it.
do they just come out of your head?
No, they come out my mouth.
They come out of your mouth. Could you just give us a quick demonstration? That's very, very good. Could you just demonstrate one more?
No, you only get one.
We thought we'd go and ask some of the programmers themselves to get an opinion of what they felt their environment was like. Dave Steichen.
Wow, he's got a cigarette. He's just got a. This is so long ago. He's just casually smoking in the office.
Go as you please. You don't have people on you all the time looking over your shoulder. Yeah, there's only one small problem, you know, and that's some of the people out there who don't like smoking. You know?
Oh, okay. They're actually addressing that.
Well, since I came here, I've cut my habit down in half, you know. I used to smoke 2 packs a day, but, you know, I really get paranoid about smoking around this place, you know. People peeping over your cubicle, sniffing at you. It's gotten so bad that I have to go outside before I'll ever smoke, you know. I have to go downstairs and stand in the rain and freeze my rear end off, and you know, late at night sometimes if I'm really feeling good, I'll be.
The environment is very positive.
They're just having fun.
Very conducive to creativity.
I mean, who did they think was going to watch this back then? It's incredible that they even have this footage.
I used to work at a place where I had to wear a suit and tie every day, but that's just not my style. The dress code, that's what I like best.
Okay, I'm glad they cut off that quickly.
The people
Wasn't expecting that.
Every day.
The people at Intel.
Okay.
I guess on the whole, I'd have to say they're really great. Nobody holds a grudge.
Okay, we're just gonna skip that section. I did not think a Mattel Electronics video would. I need to skip through
that.
that.
The pressure is too great. That some programmers are ready to crack. We asked programmer Tom Priestley what he thought.
Well, really, Mark, I haven't noticed any undue pressure at all since I've been here. Now,
okay.
Some people do have some rather unrealistic expectations.
All right.
We go to business meetings. They expect me to get the coffee, me to take the
they're
minutes,
fully
me
clothed.
to
That's all
type them up
I
and
care about for the
distribute them
purpose
afterwards.
of complying with
But
terms of service.
That's just a few pigs.
I've got to be going now. I hear a lot of ideas.
Yeah, I
coming out
guess
of
when the
Atari.
guy was talking about how they basically, Mattel Electronics just basically put him in a spare office and let him do whatever they want, he was legit serious about that. Yeah.
The marketing research, the marketing research, the marketing research. Oh God, I forgot what I was going to say!
Is that all you do is program video games?
Get that thing off my face.
Do you know anyone who plays video games? Well, I do, and I've been wondering what all the fuss is about. So I went out and bought a couple, and I find that there are lots of different things that these games can have in common. A lot of them are based on popular characters like G.I. Joe and Kool-Aid Man, who of course is a very popular character. Other games are based on movies, especially after the great success of the games E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that big hit, Tron. But one of the biggest things that they had in the beginning was sports games. They have games for every sport you could think of. They have games for boxing.
Incredible to
and
watch.
Bowling, and decathlon. They have golf and horse racing, and ice hockey and motocross. Could you play these games? Now you can play these games in your own home. Pool, which you could always play in your own home. Now you can play it on TV. They also like fish games. You can go fishing. That's another sport you can have. Or you can get chased by sharks. Or you can chase sharks. There are more sharks.
It's so incredible this is not a modern... Oh yes, there was a Kool-Aid Man video game.
It's no wonder they're having trouble coming up with new games. There's nothing left to do.
Years ago on an emulator, I did play the... I played... Clackaboy's asking if there's a Kool-Aid Man video game. Yes, I don't have chat. I forgot to put chat up here. I'm very sorry about that. Yeah, I have... There we go. That should be... Yeah, it's about monsters trying to drink all the water in Kool-Aid Man's swimming pool. I guess they had to make the game about something.
Well, guess that's about everything. You know, it's kind of sad here, last day of Mattel, but, you know, it really shouldn't be. Mattel isn't dead, as long as it lives on in our hearts. You know, we really built up a family here, some close ties.
Oh, so they made this when they were leaving Mattel, I guess.
I mean, something like that, that spirit, you just can't throw that out.
We are closed now.
All right.
So that's $25. You can give your family one
more
video
play
game
cable stuff.
cartridge. Fun, huh, guys? Or for less than half that, you can give them play cable. $500 worth of Intellivision games a month on cable.
Oh yeah. No, I mean it got to the point where some of them that we saw, like we know at least that one person has already passed away. So I'm glad we're able to get all this material from them when they were still around to tell their stories.
The fun can't start for your family till you call your cable company. So do it now.
Okay, kid, you want to play the real thing? Pick a game, any game.
Okay.
Every month on Play Cable, you get 20 great Intellivision games without cartridges. Over $500 worth. All on cable. And you can play any game you want, anytime you want. 24 hours a day. You just push a button and batter up. Space Battle. I wanted to play baseball.
I actually got to, one of my neighbors actually had the Sega Channel in the 90s. I got to experience that secondhand through watching them, and it was incredible. How long is this? This is 3 minutes. Yeah, this is just more. Is there not even any? There's not even any sound for this, so it's not so exciting. But I mean, look at the speed. This is pretty cool. I know when they show these cars racing, I never saw this. Yeah, look how fast that's. They're managed to pull off those cars moving. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, this is, I guess, just sort of tech demos. All right, let's see what's next.
Okay, this is Rick Reynolds, and with me is.
This is ColecoVision chess.
Something about the amount of distance travel maybe necessary.
Okay, let's. Round two. Okay.